Super quick video here, guys, because I got to run shortly, but I wanted to do a quick trading update before we go into the weekend. It is Friday, September 20th, 3:55 p.m., right before the market close. I want to walk you through what we talked about in the last video report, which was a short on the NASDAQ, hedged with a short on the yen, followed by a long silver, hedged with short gold, and then we've been long energies. So how'd that play out? How'd that play out this week? So we got stopped on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is actually trading right around the stop level that I had set. I wanted if it breaks above this shoulder, we'd get out of the trade. And lo and behold, we ripped up 3% after the FOMC meeting, despite the news failure where everything should have been up that day and everything was trading lower. So we're seeing just kind of this sideways chop, but everything trending to the upside. Equities are looking nice. I'm actually happy that that recovery happened, even though we lost that NASDAQ trade, just given the fact that I want to see the markets go up in these scenarios. For FOMC is coming out and doing extra cuts, we want to see bullish momentum on stocks. That should be bullish news. S&P hit all-time highs, the Dow hit all-time highs, the Russell and the Nasdaq really rallied, and I'm not sure if the Nasdaq hasn't broken back on the highs yet. Neither has the Russell, but they've come pretty close. So really good stuff here. Sugar has been ripping, which is interesting. I'm not in on a trade there. And what do we see? We saw gold break to all-time highs, so we got stopped out on that trade back here on this top wick. I thought that this might sell off further. It did not. We got stopped out. Gold ripped higher. That's fine. I'm starting to realize that trying to short these assets that are typically going up, such as the NASDAQ, stock indices, gold and silver, very, very tough to do. It has to be a very short term turnaround. Otherwise, you find that, I mean, if you look back on these charts, they're mostly all straight up, right? I mean, you look on silver, there was some consolidation, but this past year has just been up. You look on gold, it's just been straight up. You look on normal stock indices, everything is usually trending up. So to short those is very risky. And I'm starting to think that we really need to see a crazy setup to short these. Otherwise, we want to get on the long side. So that's just my takeaway from this gold trade specifically and from the NASDAQ trade, both which were losers. Good thing is we were in silver. So what did we do? We took profit here. I think we're going to start to see some profit taking as everything's just been ripping higher lately. We're getting near kind of this resistance area here. We're starting to see a breakout. We may see a bit of a retest. I would like to get back into silver. And I'd also like to get back on crude, which we'll talk about. But we took profits on silver. We were in at $28 and we are out at 31.52. So a nice profit there. I believe it's around $3,500. Crude oil, same thing. What did we do? We rolled the contract. We took about $8,000 profit, and then we got back in the position. We were in right around 69.80, and then we got out at 71.34 for a profit. I believe it comes out to around two. Let's see, 70 to 70, about almost $3,000. I want to say about $2,700 profit there on crude oil. So between silver and crude, we're looking at about it's a little over 6 grand in profit, which was really nice. We missed a palladium short. We were actually in at 11.25. Very upset that I moved the stop in tighter right before it sold off. So that's just something to stick to your system. It's always easier said than done, but leave the stops where they are and let the trade play out. And then you can move the stops once you're actually in profit or you get stopped out. So just a lesson for me, stick to the system, because the system, even though you're wrong more times than you're right, when you're right, it pays off for the losers. So worth mentioning there. I'm looking at heating oil. I see heating oil as a laggard here, and I'll actually do a live comparison because I haven't looked at this just yet, but I believe we're trailing pretty far behind crude oil. I'm looking to get long on heating oil now that we are out of crude, taking profits. If you look at the chart here, and I'll pull it to about a year chart, purple line's crude oil. Crude oil is usually underperforming heating oil, and then it's actually outperformed in recent times, and it's currently outperforming heating oil. So what do I like here? I would like to rotate into heating oil as it's still having a tough time of regaining at the same extent that crude oil has gained at, right? Crude oil has been ripping higher from hitting 65 to back to 71. And heating oil, it's had a similar rebound, but not to the same degree, not to the same velocity. So I think heating oil is going to be a good opportunity for us to stay in the energy trade. We'll look to get in at a little bit cheaper of a price here. Going into the weekend especially, I'm going to probably look to get in at quite a bit lower. assuming we might see a gap down or something could come out during the weekend. There's war and all types of other situations playing out. We'll kind of leave that one a little bit lower for an entry, and we'll reassess it on Sunday. We also had a bond trade, which I think was just a really bad trade to get in with to begin with. Bonds have been just chopping all around, so we got stopped out here for a loss. Really not worth going into detail about. Just not a good trade to have taken. I probably shouldn't have taken it, but nonetheless, we're out of that trade as well. So outside of that, we're going to look at the commitment to traders data that just came out. We'll assess on Sunday. Oh, and the other interesting thing, I'm just looking back on the notes here. So the yen short we didn't end up taking. We didn't get the fill on it, and lo and behold, it sold off. So that is trading for you. And I'm going to just draw some trend lines here to see. We're kind of staying in a range right now, which is okay. So there's that. Market's closed now. We missed that trade, but that's fine. We're staying in a range there. Cotton long, I'm looking at. Cotton ripped up today, it looks like, or might have contract rolled or something. Aussie, we're looking at. Yeah, I'm looking at a triple top there. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if I'm ready to take that trade. We'll look at the commitment of traders and see. So that's Aussie. Gold we talked about, palladium we talked about, Ethereum long. I took an Ethereum position in my long portfolio. Oh, and we're going to actually get in long on the dollar here in probably a minute before we close this. Let me take a quick look at the recent commitment of trader data before I act on this. Give me 1 second. Dollar index. US dollar. There we go. Yeah. This looks like we've had a pretty big position change for the US dollar, with the speculators coming way off their longs, going to the short side. To me, that indicates it's time to go long on the dollar. That's just, I'm going to throw that trade on in a second here. That's just something I've noticed. Ethereum I took at 2,300 down here as it was starting to rotate up on my long portfolio. But yeah, that was a good entry as well. I bought one Ethereum, $2,200. Now we're at 25, so that was really good. I'm going to execute this long trade on the US dollar. I'm going to throw that in the chat as well. I think we're going to see a bit of a bottom on the US dollar. I'm going to have to do some math here, so bear with me. You guys can see kind of a live trade go and get executed. I'm going to have a stop at 99.85. So I do a little bit of math here on the other screen. Each tick, we'll call it 0.5 is 500. I'm going to try to figure out how many positions I would enter at this price, if that's going to be our stop. So our stop is going to be at 99.85. That's the low on that candle, roughly. I do about 3 positions on this thing for the risk that I like to take per trade, about $1,800. I'm going to enter in on this. 3 positions, good till canceled. Target price is going to be whatever, 104. It doesn't really matter at this point. We'll move it in and take that trade. We're in on US dollars, so that's what we're going to do going into the weekend. We're long US dollar, and that's it. So yeah, we'll look at silver again. We'll look at gold, see how things play out. We're looking at heating oil at the right opportunity. We'll get back in long on energies. And yeah, that's it for today. And we will talk again on Sunday with the trade setups that we're looking at. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.